Hi there, I'm Milan Mahdevan with 8451. We're glad you found the Uplow'd. We're launching this podcast because we're curious. We're curious about so many things, and we're betting that you're curious too. Each month, the Uplow'd will delve into ideas, problems, and topics that we're shaping, solving, or just plain learning about. Whether we're discussing AI, machine learning, or data science, we promise to bring you the very best of our thinking and insights. We invite you to follow us and leave your feedback. We want your thoughts. We appreciate hearing what you're eager to know about. Enjoy the podcast and stay curious.
Welcome to The Uplow'd by 8451. I'm your host for this inaugural episode of The Uplow'd, Dan O'Keefe. Today we're talking personalization with Alison O'Keefe, who is client lead, Offsite Media at 8451. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. And as we get started, let's get one thing clear right off the bat.
Okay.
We are not related as far as we know, right?
I don't think so, but we may have some cousins over in Ireland. I'm not sure.
Probably possible, right? Maybe even came over on the boat together. Who knows? So we're going to dive right in. Allison, can you describe your background and your current role at 8451?
Sure. So I've spent all of my career around digital media. I started on the publisher side here in Cincinnati at Scripps, and then I moved over to the agency side, working on clients, CPG clients, and retail clients, and then was super excited to come here in 2017 when we were launching Kroger Precision Marketing. So I currently sit on the product strategy and innovation team on the offsite portion. So anytime we're taking Kroger shopper data and then allowing suppliers to take that data and find their customers off Kroger property, so whether that's programmatic display or video, that's things that fall under the team that I sit on.
Gotcha. Well, I'm certainly familiar with Kroger Precision Marketing and personalization as it relates to that. So can you describe what personalization is and how does it play a role in 8451's mission?
Yeah, definitely. So, personalization is really at the center of everything that 8451 does. We're constantly looking at the massive amounts of first-party data that we have and then helping use that to understand who the customer really is. But it's not just about the data. It's really that extra added layer of the 8451 science that sort of really puts it into a different level and makes it really relevant for the customer. So take, for example, we have what we call your next basket science that we use on Kroger properties and within the app. And we use that science to help the customer build their basket, whether we're using that to predict what they may want to engage with, whether we're showing them things that they've previously purchased, just making that consumer experience really seamless.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask what some of the insights are that you can gain from customer information. So is that a good description of that, or can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
There's so many possibilities when you're looking at purchase data. You can look at things that are pretty basic, right? So, obviously what a person's purchasing, what else is in their basket when they take a trip to Kroger. But then you start to look at things like, are they a price-sensitive shopper? Are they health conscious? Do they really love to engage with recipe type ingredients? Things like life stage signals, right? So we can start to look at maybe this person has had a baby or adopted a pet recently. So, the possibilities are really endless when it comes to that kind of data.
Gotcha. And so personalization is important to customers for all those reasons, right?
Yeah, I think from a customer perspective, understanding who they are, not just as a consumer, but really as a person is really important. You want to really start to look holistically at the person, not just, what groceries do they buy at Kroger, right? But start to understand them across multiple touch points so that we can make the way that we engage with them across multiple categories really, really meaningful.
So, Alison, tell us, how do customers benefit from personalization?
I think they benefit from a relevancy perspective. So, we've done a really good job of making sure that the communications that we have with the customer are really relevant. And we know just based on some of the research that we've done from our own customers that over 80% of them say, we're happy to give you our data if we're getting something in return, right? So if we're getting those relevant offers in return, which I think are super important. But I think it can go a little bit beyond offers. I think that that's been the cornerstone of what we've done. And it's obviously super important. Savings are really important. important to the customer.
Right.
But I think, people love the best customer communications. Like, we get handwritten letters saying how much people love it. I even, when I go to Kroger by myself and I'm listening to people at the checkout, they're talking about their loyal customer mailer. So we know that these are resonating with the customer, but it can go even further than that from a brand perspective. It can go to recipes, it can go to custom content, just different ways that they can really engage with the customer, but from a relevancy perspective.
Well, I know that my family loves what we receive from Kroger, and which of course is powered by 8451, and how we're how they know us, right? So let's talk a little bit about what is the effect that targeted personalization has on the brand's relationship with the customer.
Yeah, I think the end result of really targeted personalization is loyalty, is creating that loyal relationship with that customer. Kroger did such an amazing job when they launched the Kroger Plus card, where they didn't just say, okay, you're coming in to shop in our stores. We're just going to gather all of this data from you, and we're not going to give you anything in return. They wanted it to be a super mutually beneficial relationship where it's like you're coming and you're giving us this data on you, and then we're going to reciprocate with whether that's offers or targeted personalization. I think it's super important. I was reading an interesting example just from an outside industry example. There's a company called EasyJet, and they're a European booking site.
Yep.
And they had been around for about 20 years, and they looked at all the customer data that they had, and they said, how do we make our next campaign like super special and really resonate with the customer? And they essentially took all of the information, so past trips, maybe photos that people had uploaded that they had access to, and they put together over 12 million different versions of an email, where it took them through like your past experiences, and then based on those past experiences, where might you like to go? And the result was that they had over 100% increase in open rate, and then over a 25% increase in their click-through rate. And really the moral of that story is that if you do targeted personalization correctly, you can really create really great experiences and then really also great results for the brand in return.
Wow. So as we've learned more about the relationship between 8451, the data that you touch, and the customer, I'm really curious to find out just what is 8451's reach exactly. Who are you impacting, and how many customers are you impacting?
Yeah, the reach that 8451 and Kroger has was one of the reasons why I was so excited to come and work here, because it's really not really seen very often in the industry, but the Kroger Plus card tracks 96% of all transactions, which is almost unheard of. And that translates into 60 million households, which is 1 in every 2 households in the United States. So that's a pretty big reach, and there's a lot of different things that you can tell from that data.
And it's just the U.S.? Is it North America? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's just the United
primary.
States.
Okay, great. And then, Alison, give us an example of how you might use information to create personalized experience for a customer.
Sure. So, like I previously said, there's tons of insights that we can glean from all of the data that we have. So it's not just what you buy, when you buy. It's, things like, are you digitally engaged, or how do you like to purchase your groceries? Do you use pickup? Do you use ship? Do you still shop in store? Maybe you use a combination of all three. And so all of these things are really important when we're starting to put together a recommendation. So let's take, for example, a brand comes to us and they have an initiative where they say, we want to have somebody purchase one more incremental purchase, whether it's a can, a box, whatever the product is that they're wanting to sell. And so then we say, okay, well, if you're wanting somebody to make an incremental purchase, you obviously want to start with your current buyers, and then maybe some lapsed buyers who maybe haven't purchased you within the last 6 months. But let's go a little bit deeper and make this even more personalized and meaningful. So let's look at, are they showing signs of being a vegetarian? Maybe they're purchasing ingredients that ladder up to a really great recipe that the brand already has developed. Because a lot of times brands are sitting on a lot of really great content, and it's all about how we can take the content they already have and then partner it with our data to make a really relevant experience for the customer. And so what ends up happening is that we can segment the audience in such a way that gives them that personalized experience with the brand. We've seen really great success with this from our programmatic offering perspective, where we've taken, you take the behavioral and the contextual targeting, you put the ad into, a recipe site where the customer's already thinking about food and they're thinking about their next trip to Kroger. And what we've seen is it's led to almost 4 times incremental lift in sales. So,
wow, that's amazing. So as a customer, I know that I appreciate and know that I am benefiting from that relationship, my data's relationship with 8451, and how you're helping me make better decisions, right? But in a general sense, how do you think customers feel about having their shopping information collected, and then how do you manage that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think as certain things become more mainstream, data breaches, things like that, I think customers are becoming a little bit more savvy about the fact that companies are starting to collect their data and maybe they're using them for things that they don't even know about. And so I think Kroger's always done a really good job of being upfront with the customer about how we're using their data. We're happy to be transparent with how we're using the data. And I think that as we move into this era of more data regulations, I think that we're already ahead of the game because we've always been so safe about how we collect people's data and how we use it. And I think that customers expect us, when we're collecting their data, to use it in a really thoughtful and meaningful way, not something that just benefits the brands or benefits Kroger, but something that also benefits them as well.
So in today's marketplace, why is personalization so important to brands?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important because personalization leads to relevancy, and relevancy helps you cut through the clutter. I mean, there's statistics out there that say that people are exposed to 5,000 messages a day, which is like a gigantic number. I mean, back in 1970, it was like 500 messages, which still seems like a really large amount to me. But what that leads to is like super high exposure and really low engagement. And so think about how many times you're on a website and you sort of block out the banners that you're seeing. There's just so many different ways that people have learned to get around advertising that isn't relevant to them. But if you're on a website and you see something pop up that you're super engaged with, a recipe that maybe you were looking for, a brand that you have a really great relationship with, that's going to lead you to be more likely to engage with that ad, and ultimately is going to help lead to conversion for the brands.
So I'm curious, what does this look like for the future? So you're knowledgeable in the capabilities of data collection and how this can be used. So how do you think that technology will evolve, and how will it impact each of us as customers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to see how artificial intelligence is going to impact data collection. I mean, I know that it's already happening in a lot of different areas. I think that there's so much data at our fingertips. We're just collecting millions and millions of data points every minute, every hour, and it's just really impossible for a human to be able to digest all that information, be able to slice and dice things based on the story that they want to tell. And so artificial intelligence can really help to speed up that process. When you're having a conversation, your conversation sort of builds on what you've been talking about the whole time. And so when you're looking at data from just a strictly data perspective, you're not really going to see that context, see that story. But when you add in AI, you're able to add in that context, you're able to tell that story a little bit better. AI is also helping with advertising to become, interactive for the customer right when the ad is served. It's able to help us, serve dynamic creative in a smarter way. So there's just so many things that it really has the capability to do that I'm really excited to see how that then translates into a more relevant and a better and more seamless experience for the customer.
It's going to be fun to watch it all play out, indeed. Well, Alison, we really appreciate this. We've thrown a lot of questions at you, and now it's time for a few more. Because now it's time for the 8451 lightning round, where we ask you a series of 8 random questions for 51 seconds.
Okay.
Alison, are you ready?
I think so.
All right. 3, 2, 1. If your life was a song, what would the title be?
Cashmere, because I love Led Zeppelin and the Sweaters.
Where's your favorite spot in 8451 to work?
Surprisingly, my desk. I like talking to people that come up and ask questions.
Awesome. And what is your favorite pizza topping?
Meatballs.
How do you like your coffee?
Way too much sugar.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, definitely dogs.
What advice would you give to someone on their first day at 8451?
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Jogging or biking?
Definitely biking.
What's the best thing about your job?
Oh, I love my coworkers.
Awesome. I think we got it in, did we? Awesome. Alison, thank you so much.
Thanks.
This was fantastic for the first episode of The Uplow'd. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Millen here. That's it for this month's episode of The Uplow'd. We hope you enjoyed it and hopefully learned something new. Remember to give us a like and share your feedback. Until next month, stay curious.